Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. We had 5, and now it's down to 4. Just like we'll probably see at Cheltenham this week, horses are dropping, and maybe in the maybe in the Premier League battle for the champions, we'll also see some horses drop out of that. We saw two stallions yesterday in Liverpool versus Manchester City play out a draw. What a game that was. And Arsenal currently sit top of the league. And I know some people are hurting about that right now. We're joined by Steve K, Ferrell Keeling, and Alex. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, good, mate. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good.
There was a very happy, very good. There was a not bad, and I can see why Ferrell's not bad at the moment. We'll start with Liverpool versus Man City. 1-1 draw yesterday, Ferrell. Do you feel like you could have got more out of that? Do you feel like you should have got more out of that game?
You know what? I think you can sort of see it like after the game. The players look, I don't want to say dejected, but certainly a little bit disappointed that they didn't get more out of it. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good result for Liverpool. Potentially more of a good result for Liverpool than it is for City. I think, I'm very happy, certainly, with the second half effort. I thought, crowd was absolutely up for it. The manager was up for it. The players were up for it. And I think ultimately you look at sort of the players that have got missing in a game of that caliber. Trent, Salah only comes on for the second half. Alisson, Kanate, Jota, Jones, Gravenberch, Thiago. Some odd guys there, but isn't sort of totally match fit. And, you look at sort of players like Harvey Elliott who've been on, and I think Elliott's played a ridiculous number of games and minutes in a row without rest. And I just think Klopp has squeezed absolutely everything he can possibly out of this squad, a very sort of limited squad by injury. So I'm personally quite happy with the result there.
All right, Kevin, nice to see you, Kevin. What was your thoughts on the result yesterday? 1-1 draw against Liverpool, took the lead through John Stones, and then sort of gifted them a penalty with a bit of some very out of character defending from Manchester City.
Yeah, sorry about that there, by the way. My internet went down easier than McAllister in the penalty box.
That's a definite pen.
Listen, I thought Liverpool, we conceded to Liverpool way too early in that second half, didn't we? Gave them the impetus. To be fair to them, the crowd got right behind them. It's a penalty, that first one, no doubt. A bad back pass by Ake, who has been so solid for us this season. Mm-hmm. And then a little bit of a rush of blood from Ederson. Definite penalty. And Liverpool, that's all they needed at the start of that second half. And in the end, I think it's a good point for City, to be honest with you. I think even though Foden hit the crossbar, which might have been given as handball perhaps, and Doku hit the post, I think it looked only like there was going to be one team to win it in the second half. So, yeah, bit like Farrell, I'm happy with the point. Leaves us in contention. Leaves us out of it being in our own control, which is always a bit frustrating. But over the 90 minutes, I think City will have got back in the changing rooms and said, that's a good point for us, really.
Yeah. Steve, on the Liverpool and Manchester City game, from an Arsenal point of view, was there anyone who you felt that it'd been better that they got the 3 points, or do you think that a draw played out the best result for Arsenal?
No, I mean the draw was, that was the result every Arsenal fan wanted, and it was a perfect weekend for us. There was a lot of this, if it wasn't a draw, who would you rather win? Would you rather Liverpool win, or would you rather Manchester City win? I wasn't going to get drawn into that. I didn't think it would make a difference who won at the end of the day. I think whoever won, I think there's still a lot of games to go, and I think all our 3 teams that are going for the title will drop points. So yeah, I mean on that question, draw was the best result. But other than that, it was just, I was probably like most people in the country. I thought it was a fantastic football game between two, top teams. I agree with everything that everybody's already said regarding, who should have won the game. Probably Liverpool were the better side. Man City came out. They first 10, 15 minutes, they sort of went at them. But once Liverpool seemed to, get their game together, they sort of were the better team from, going forward and definitely the second half. But even then, there was times when Man City, could have nicked a couple of the goals. They hit the post, and Foden had one. I think Foden had one off the bar as well, didn't he? So it could have gone either way. But yeah, Liverpool, look, at the end of the day, I think Man City will be more pleased with the the point than what Liverpool will. I think both teams would have taken a point at the beginning of the game. But I think, way it panned out after 90 minutes, Liverpool will be thinking, especially with a penalty as well. I agree again. I think it was a penalty anywhere else on the pitch. That's given as a free kick. And possibly a yellow card. The only thing I will say that I think maybe goes for Man City, that I don't think maybe McAllister didn't make that much effort for the ball. He sort of dived in with sort of just his chest. It wasn't like he was going to go round a player or he was in control of the ball. It was just like coming together, but Doku's foot was high. So I think there could have been that, but like I said, anywhere else on the football pitch, that's a penalty. So, they got away with one there.
Alex, what was your thoughts on the penalty? Do you think that Doku was lucky there that he didn't give away a penalty to Liverpool? Or do you think the referee was right in not giving a penalty at the end of the game?
Well, my first instincts were that it was a penalty and it should have been given. And then I've spoken to a couple of other people who have got different opinions, but I don't know if that's just agenda. But my initial thought was that it should be, because it was a really high challenge, and I feel like in that area, yeah, definitely it should have been given as a penalty.
Yeah. So you think that Liverpool were hard done by and could have potentially won the game then?
They definitely could have potentially won the game had been given that penalty, but then I feel like they also missed a lot of really clear chances that Diaz missed. So they had a few times where they could have gone ahead and they should have won, but I definitely think that penalty would have been the deciding factor in them winning for sure.
All right. So Liverpool should have taken their chances beforehand and not relying on the referee's decision then.
Yeah, for sure.
Farrell, what was your thoughts on the penalty? You feel like it now, the dust has settled? You feel that it should have been a penalty then and still now?
Oh, my mind has not changed in the slightest. I agree with Alex's point that the chances that we did have, certainly from Diaz, who I thought had an excellent game, by the way, but my God, should be putting those away. I think it would have been a shame if the game had been decided that way, but that would have been the fair and proper outcome. And to be honest, I think it's wrongly divided a lot of commentators. It is at a dangerous height, regardless of whether or not he gets the ball. I think Klopp said the game, if he doesn't get the ball, it kills him. If that happens anywhere else on the pitch, it's a card, it's a foul. So why shouldn't it be in the penalty box? I think, to be honest, looking at it from Oliver's, I do have some sympathy for Michael Oliver, because I'm not sure if he has the best view possible when he does make his initial decision. The problem is we've got VAR. What's the point of VAR if they're not telling him, look, we think the boot's high, we're not sure if you've had the best possible angle of this you could have had in real time. Go look at the monitor. We'll back you if you still think it's the correct decision. Look at last week when everyone kicked off over an incorrectly applied drop ball from Paul Tierney when Liverpool played Nottingham Forest, and Nunez went on to win the game 2 minutes after the decision. And that was labelled as a monumental error at the time. You've got like Jermaine Genius, Gary Lineker, all talking about a monumental error. We've now got a ball. We've now got a tackle that's come in, chest height above. And the reaction, even from, and this is even coming from Jamie Carragher, sort of like dismissing it almost. And, at worst, or you get it being labelled like a 50-50. It's dangerous. You know what I mean? If a Liverpool player had done that to a City player, I'd still say it's dangerous. If a Nottingham Forest player had done it, it's dangerous. I don't know. I think I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm equally sick of having, as much I'm sure everyone else is here, of having to talk about sort of officiating decisions when we should really be talking about ultimately what was otherwise a wonderful game of football between the two best managers in the league, the two best teams in the league. It was just, barring that sort of one incident, it was a wonderful, wonderful sort of showpiece event of football. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Kevin, was you holding your breath at the point when Doku was going in for that challenge, praying for the whistle to be blown for the full time?
My initial instinct when he made the challenge wasn't that it was a penalty, but when I saw the playback, I was glad that Stuart Atwell didn't ask Michael Oliver to go to the screen, because had he asked him to go to the screen, he would no doubt have given a penalty. Listen, I do agree with Farrell. A slight different opinion on the difference between last week's game against Forest and the penalty yesterday. The penalty yesterday isn't a matter of opinion whether the referee or VAR thinks it's a penalty. At Forest, the referee made a mistake in the laws of the game, in that he dropped the ball. So they're two different things, really. The drop ball had to be given in football law to Nottingham Forest, and the referee didn't do that. So I think that's why there was so much outrage, because that wasn't a matter of opinion, wasn't it? It wasn't the referee could decide or not whether to give it to the Liverpool goalkeeper. He should have given it to Forest. But going back to the penalty, it could easily have been given. And I was quite relieved when I heard it was going. The thing that struck me, actually, was it seemed to go to VAR, and the decision was made very quickly as well.
It was, yeah.
It did. Which, listen, my view on VAR. VAR should be a tool that's used to the benefit of football. And when referees can't quite see things, or they make a mistake and the game moves a little bit quickly for them, that is where somebody sat in front of a TV screen should be able to look at it and allow the referee to have another look where a mistake has been made. VAR should be for the benefit of the game, but the fools who use it are spoiling it for everybody.
Steve, sorry, just on the VAR decision, do you think that officials are sometimes get too involved in looking at it as a spectacle? What I mean by that is, we've had Mark Clattenburg come out a couple of years ago and say that the reason why he didn't send off, I think it was a Tottenham player in a Chelsea game, was because he didn't want to ruin the game. We saw that a referee not so long ago come out and say that he didn't want to send this referee to VAR because he'd had a good game and it would have ruined what was a good spectacle. Do you think that referees are getting too involved in that, and they should just be looking at it in the black and white and just saying, look, it's a pen. It doesn't matter whether this is for a Premier League decider. That's not for you to make a decision. The players made the mistake.
If you're talking about the people in VAR getting involved too much.
And referees as well. The referees do it as well.
Not so much referees. I definitely think that the people in VAR are just like, it seems to me they're just taking over the game. And for me, it doesn't seem like the referees are getting involved much anymore, because the only little sort of thing I have for the referees, I mean, look, like last week was the Forest thing was just ridiculous. I mean, Liverpool they were basically Forest were robbed last week, with that decision. But that's a different thing altogether, like Kevin has explained. But for me, the people in VAR are just getting involved too much, and the officials on the pitch now, they might as well not even be there to some degree. I won't be surprised if in 2 years' time there won't be no referees on the pitch, no lines, but there'd just be a load of computers in Stockley Park and referees sitting down having a cup of tea watching the games. Because in a way, I mean, I don't feel sorry for referees, because when a VAR decision's made, when a referee, a lot of people say, "Oh, the officials are rubbish, blah blah rubbish," our referees are rubbish, which they ain't great. But it's VAR who's making all the decisions. They're making the decision whether a goal's offside or not. They're making the decision whether it's a penalty or not. They're making the decision whether a penalty. They're making the decision. All the main decisions. It seems to me that they're taken away from the referee. Now the referee must be a bag of nerves every time they go onto the football pitch, because every time they give a decision, they must be thinking, oh, they've got a camera on me now. They're looking at me. They're going to overturn what I did anyway. And for me, I only can speak for myself, but as a fan, I would be. I just, for me, VAR's ruining the game. I don't like it. Look, referees make mistakes, and before VAR, we never was talking like this after every game. If a referee made a mistake, we used to have a moan, we used to have a groan, yeah. But at the end of the day, we always come up and went, referee's shit, but it's human error, it happens. Right, and that's it, put to bed, we go on to the next week. Now we're going weeks and weeks and weeks and days talking about a one decision or 4 or 5 decisions every single week about something that VAR's done. Yes, referees get it wrong. Referees get things wrong. And sometimes it'll go against their teams. But I've been used to watching football for so many years now with just the referee and the players on the pitch. Why have we had to change it? I think it's ruining the game, and I think they should give the whether they get the decision right or wrong, give the decision, the last word back to the person, with a whistle, get rid of it, because there's nothing good about VAR. I can't. There's nothing. I've got nothing good to say about it.
Alex, should it not be down to the referee to make that final decision, and should the referee not be a bit more stronger with his decision and back himself in those times rather than going with the VAR decision?
No, I don't. It's a really tough one, because there's been so many times over the years where before VAR came into effect, we were crying out for this technology, because we'd watch TV and you'd see like the cameraman, they'd be able, all the editing people when you're watching a game, be able to show you, oh, it's offside, it's this. So I think that we want it, but I just think that, is there a way that it works so that it's fair all the time? And I don't know whether we'll get that. I think that a really good example of VAR being great was when we watched the World Cup. I think that they had some really good AI technology, and it just felt like a really seamless game, and it felt a lot easier and less like clunky as it is now. So I think there's still some work to do with it, and I think it's going to have teething problems for a while yet, until it gets to a point where it is settled and it's fair. But I think that refs should have overall like their opinion, that they're looking at the game, they've got the overview of it, their decision should be final. But then what's the point then if their decision is wrong and it causes a team to lose points because of their incorrect decision?
But Alex, VAR for me are losing more points to teams this season than I've ever seen in my life.
Do you think?
They're looking at millions of cameras, right? They're staring at it, with their feet up, looking at it, where they think, well, they're going to get that right, but they're continuously getting it wrong.
I think it's two ways though, isn't it? Because there's always like human error. Human error is always a thing, and so I think it's more the technology that needs to improve. That is what needs to.
But there's people looking at it. The people are looking at it, and we're looking at it. We're seeing what they're seeing, and then they're making the decision and saying that's offside, that's a goal. Then on a Monday morning, we're getting Harold Webb coming out and saying, "Yeah, you got it wrong. We apologise. Written apology."
But if you look at how many VAR decisions there are over a weekend, and how many would you say they get wrong in that weekend? I'm saying it's 5%, if that. Like I think it's more. I'd say it's more of the case where, because the expectation is now that we've got VAR, everything should be perfect. When it's not, then we're scrutinising it. Now, I completely understand there are certain circumstances where they get it wrong. But what my point is, when the referee goes to that monitor and the VAR has said, this, take a look, should the referee not be looking at that and not worrying about, I could be refereeing the championship next week? Rather, it should be a case of
I think
I've made my decision. This
I
is
think
what
the
I'm seeing.
referee Keys should have some balls, right, and be able to go to the screen and make his own decision and say, I want to see more people go to the screen and say, "No, I'm not having it. I still think my decision was right," because that's what I'd like to see. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I let the boys speak, but
Farrell,
for me,
what's your take on it? One, do you think VAR is ruining the game? Do you think it's obviously room for improvement? And on the basis that we're with the referee, once they've gone to that screen, should they? Do you think there's a fear that VAR's seen it, so I'm just going to go with what their decision is?
Right, a couple of things first, if you don't mind, just to address
Go
these.
for it. I could see your face.
Yeah, honestly,
on a couple of points.
Right,
receipts come out.
There are 2 minutes of play that happen between the drop ball at Forest and the Liverpool goal. Possession changes hands. There's a throw in. There's multiple instances of possession changing. So it's not a direct case of drop ball. Liverpool score 10 seconds later. So let's get that clear first. It has no impact on the game whatsoever.
Wait. Farrell, please continue.
There's no impact on the game whatsoever. There is changes in possession, and there's like 2 minutes in football is a lifetime. Right, now onto the VAR point. I think ultimately, look, we've got to acknowledge it's run by humans. That's the reality of the situation. I think the problem for me isn't necessarily the technology per se, but it is the people that use it. I don't think it's as clear a point as saying get rid of, because I think there'll still be issues without VAR, and then we'll have a situation of going, we'll get rid of it, and then people go, there's this decision or this decision that would have been cleared up had we had VAR, and I miss having this clarity over this thing. I do think it is maybe a smaller percentage than people realise. But again, I think, Kieran, you're on the money there. It does get sort of more closely scrutinised because we do expect a certain standard of perfection with the technology that we have available to us. Obviously, Alex has brought up the point, and it's a fair point about the World Cup and how it was used there. And I think for large parts it was used pretty reasonably. So we don't have an impossible vision of VAR working. We know it can work. I suppose the question is, will we ever have the right people to kind of utilize it consistently and fairly on a weekly basis? Maybe that's only possible in a tournament. Maybe it's not possible in a 38 game sort of season. But I don't know. I think it's worth considering before we completely abolish the idea altogether. But I appreciate that's not going to be something everyone's going to agree with.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, what's your thoughts on it before we move on? The VAR situation. Do you feel like it's been a bit of a hindrance? Do you think there's room for improvement? Where do you think we should go with this?
I think overall VAR has probably improved football, but I do think it's probably improved football overall because, there have been some decisions. The majority, I think, of decisions that are made using VAR are probably correct, but there have been some shockers, and it's the shockers that draw our attention to it. But it is about the personnel. Interestingly, I was in the company of Chris Foy last week. He was at the City Champions League game, and so I was chatting to him. He's a former Premier League referee, as you probably know, and I was speaking to him about VAR. And his point was, he works for the PGMOL now. Mm-hmm. He works on their media team, I think. And he might be a good one to get. Actually, he might be a good one to get on this show. I think he would probably do it as well. I think he does a bit of this for PGMOL. But the point he was making, because I made the point to him, I don't understand how somebody who has got a screen in front of them and not really under any pressure
exactly
can make the wrong decision. But his point was that the instruction from PGMOL to the VAR officials is don't re-referee the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at something on VAR and you understand why the referee has given the initial decision that he has given, even if you might have given a different decision, if you fully understand why the referee has given that decision, don't persuade him to change his mind.
Okay.
So I sort of disagree with that, because if there is a clear mistake, they should be asking him to. But the instructions appear to be, to protect the referee and do not ask him to go and change the mind. If they understand why the decision was given. And actually, to a certain extent, I think Farrell sort of, I think it's a penalty, by the way, by Doku. But just going back to the original point that Farrell made, in that he sort of said he could understand why Michael Oliver didn't give the penalty. And I think the instructions to the VAR team from the PGMOL is, if you can understand why Michael Oliver didn't give the penalty, go with that decision. If you can't understand why he didn't give the penalty, that is the time for a review.
Yeah, I think that's where we get into
the consistency as well has got to be improved. Isn't it?
People's subjectiveness on certain decisions. Steve, besides getting rid of it because it's not going anywhere, what would you do to improve it quickly?
Do you know, mate, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, these people, what you say, improve the technology. If the technology is not, this is the Premier League, for God's sake. If the technology is not at its highest now, then why are we bloody using it? Testing it? In £1 billion industry, it should be at its top of whatever it takes to be at the technology levels. So we say, oh, we improve the technology. Well, we shouldn't be, when it's been proved and it's ready. And so what is it? So I'm assuming that it's fine as it is. It's at the top of its game. Then you've got to look at, the people who are doing it, and that they're inconsistent. Maybe they're not concentrating properly. But we get told that you've got to be 3 years, spend 3 years as a referee to be able to use a computer screen and read a line. When I don't know, I can't. I mean, you tell me. I mean, it's like, improve it. Do you know what? I really don't know. Consistency's got to be better. Maybe they've got to go all back to refereeing school or VAR school and be taught how to do it. And until then, scrap it until it's done, because it's okay saying, every other week there might be one, or there might be two, or might be three, but they've still got, if they're looking at a computer screen, for me, they've got to be right. It's very difficult to sort of say, what can be improved. I mean, it's just the consistency's got to be improved. It's got to be quicker. I'm fed up with every. I don't celebrate a goal anymore. It's no point. What's the point? I always wait for VAR. See if it was offside or not, every single time. It's taken away for me the enjoyment of it. But look, it's me as an individual. This is where we are. This is where football's going now, and this is what people who love VAR have got to accept. You've got to accept that you'll never know it's going to be a goal. You're going to have that thing hanging over your head every time you score, because you're going to have someone second guessing, and maybe they're going to get it wrong. Maybe it costs you a title. It's got to be spot on. It's got to be dead. It's dead right. We've just got to learn. If we're stuck with it, and it's going to be with us forevermore, we've just got to hope that there's some consistency. They get quicker, because sometimes we look at it and we think, why is it taking so long? The situation the other day, you see situations where the same foul was given a penalty and the other one ain't. It was an Arsenal penalty where Trossard was pulled back a few days earlier. I think a Man City player or Liverpool, I don't know where it was, got pulled back, but that was a penalty. It was exactly the same foul. Improved. Yeah, for me, it's got to be massively improved all the way up. For me, I would just take it away and just but I know that's not going to happen. It's silly, but
no, it's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. Now on to the other big game of this weekend, Arsenal versus Brentford. After taking the lead, Aaron Ramsdale calamity. Bit of head gone, a moment of madness. Redeemed himself later on, and Arsenal, with Kai Havertz's lovely header, win the game. Steve, we'll start with you. Big win for Arsenal. 2-1 victory against Brentford. Tough game in the end, but back top of the league.
Yeah, back top of the league. For me, it don't really mean much as it does to others. Point in front, point behind. yeah, look, it's nice to be top. We're going to be top now until we play City on the 31st. So, and it was good to see. It was good to see in a way, although it was nerve-wracking. It was good to see a different way of winning a football match than we have done recently. Because recently ever since sort of going back to round about the Liverpool game, where we've sort of been the best team and beating teams by 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s every other week. In a way, it was good to see, the boys come back from, being picked back for an equaliser and the pressure. Let's face it, for the first time in like a few weeks, the pressure really being on, knowing that Liverpool and Man City were going to be playing, the next day, and then they had to win. And it's that this time of the season, that probably pleased me, yesterday's result, more than the 5-0s and the 6-0s and the 7-0, the 4-0s that we've been having recently. It's all coming together at the right time. As I say, I'm not getting carried away. Kai Havertz, I told you, boys. I told you why Arteta bought him. So, and
I thought you were going to say then, Steve. I thought you were going to be really honest and say Kai Havertz should have been sent off for that dive.
Do you know what? He could have been sent off. He could have been sent off. But we're talking about how, we can talk about that if you want. We can talk about that.
I've only played.
But we'll talk about how he's proven everybody who thought that Arteta bought him as a midfielder or a centre forward got it wrong, and how he's proved me right, because I could see from the second game of the season why they bought him. It was obvious to me, not obvious to some, and now he's proving to be an integral part of this team going forward, and he's undroppable. And Jesus is not getting back in the side. He's making Odegaard play better. He's making Saka play better. He's playing Martinelli play better. He's just a very, very clever, intelligent footballer. And big up to Mikel Arteta for yet again spotting someone who he never took the notice of what his form was at Chelsea. He was pants at Chelsea for 3 years, but I've already said Chelsea ruined players. They don't know how to develop players. Arteta knew this. He knew the player laid the clues, and then he knew he could make him into the player that he was there, and he's done it. And as I said, he's undroppable at the moment, and he's probably one of the most free important players in the Arsenal side, and a fantastic header. The weekend, 86 minutes, scoring some big important goals. Big up to him. And look, other than that, look, I'm not getting carried away. For me, Liverpool, Man City are the favourites, and for me, one of them two should win the league. They got, we all keep hearing they've got the better manager, they've got the better players, they've got the better squad. One of them's going to bottle it. One of them, because you both can't win the league. But let's just hope for Liverpool, Man City's sake that Arsenal don't, because it'll probably go down as the biggest bottle job in Premier League history. Considering that, Man City and Liverpool are, for me, the two best teams in the Premier League, two best squads. So we'll see what happens. But Arsenal on that roll. But the big ones will be up against Man City.
I would have to say, Steve, when you've got the league as close as it currently is, 64 points, 63, 62, I think. A bottle job is when a team is 8 points clear and doesn't win it. That's a bottle job.
No, but we had to play you twice.
When you've got three,
you twice, Kev, champions, the triple winners. We had to play you twice. The great Man City, we had to play you twice when we was 8 points clear. But so you kept telling us
that still would have left you 2 points clear.
So would have Man City, if we was 2 points in front of Man City, would you have said that that's the league over?
No, the point I make, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is it's a very close title, and any one of those three could win it. So if all of a sudden you're trying to do a Fergie, aren't you? Really, you're trying to play that mind game where secretly I know that you think Arsenal can win the league, which they can win the league. Secretly, I know that you think they can win the league, but because they did bottle it last year, you can't come out and be too confident about it, because if you're too confident about it, it will be Arsenal who will have bottled it again. You are the league.
It's impossible for Arsenal to bottle it. We're not favourites. We're third favourites, Kev.
I'll tell you why.
Steve,
let me tell you why.
You're the favourites.
Let me tell you why.
You've got the easiest.
Go on, we need someone to finish. Steve, let him finish.
Let me tell you why. You are top of the league, and all the teams have played exactly the same number of games, which means that if you win, as Liverpool have done in the past and City have done in the past, if you win all of your Premier League games between now and the end of the season, you win the league. It's absolutely 100. Hold on. It's absolutely in your hands. And I've always said when I've been on these shows,
that's silly.
Hold on. It is the games between the big teams that win or lose you the league. City haven't beaten a top 5 team this season. And that is why I think City, where they are now, it's unlikely, I think, that we will probably win the league. They are favourites for some reason. Our odds,
because you've got the best manager and the best team and the best squad. That's why you're favourites. And you've got the easiest running. That's why you're favourites.
Let me just explain. Our odds actually shortened yesterday, even though we didn't win at Anfield. And Arsenal went top of the league at the weekend. And I'm not, listen, City have won more titles in my lifetime than I could ever have wished they could win. That doesn't mean that I don't want to win the league this season. Of course I do. I want to win the league. I want to win the FA Cup. I want to win the Champions League. But I've seen City at their peak and go on and win Premier League titles from this point.
Yeah, and you should again.
I just see a little bit in Arsenal, and I discounted them early on the season. I just see a little bit in Arsenal now at the moment that I've seen in City as they race toward titles. So it's going to be very, very close. It can only be one of us three that win it. If I was a neutral, I would be putting my money on Arsenal to win the league.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that Arsenal couldn't win the league. I don't remember those words coming out of my mouth.
I'll chime in here.
I think so. I don't think so. I said you should win the league. You should win the league. I never said, again, words put into mouths. I never said that Manchester Arsenal. I've watched football since I was 5 years old, right? I know enough about football to know Arsenal, what the situation we're in. We can win the league. I'm not stupid. I'm not blind. I'm not just come out of a box, and know what football is. I know they can win the league. I'm just, and you're right, mate.
Well, we're sitting top, so we can definitely win. Alex, you're currently in a situation. Hold on, Alex, you're currently in a situation which, I mean, if I was you, this is possibly the worst situation. You've got Liverpool, who could potentially win the league, and was it matching Man United's record, You could have Manchester City, who could win 4 on the trot, Again, you don't want that. Or just look to your right. You could have Arsenal fans remind you every day that we won the league. What would you rather have right now?
Do you know what? I've said this so many times. The lesser of all those evils for me is Arsenal. Like I don't care that I live in London. I'm surrounded by Gunners. It's fine. I can live with it. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's just that whole sort of trophy tally, and then also just Sir Alex Ferguson's record. I feel like it's been equaled with the 3P, I guess. So having Pep do it 4 times would just not make me happy. So my ego is saying I'm happy for Arsenal to win. And I'm just going to rebuttal you, Steve. I feel like it's Arsenal's to lose because
I don't know how you can say that.
no. So 1 second, no, 1 second. You've got probably the best defense in the league right now. I feel like your players are the best. You're playing better football. You're not reliant on necessarily a striker because you've got goals that are coming from every which way. Like everyone can score goals. It's crazy in your team. And I think that the team
Some
in general
people I've been telling news to for the last 6 months
are playing football that's enjoyable, and when you watch them, you feel like, oh my gosh, like yeah, they can go on to win, and it's and they don't seem as shaky as maybe they did last season. I think they probably have like learned from that, and they're growing. And I think Arteta like building and adding Rice and adding in Havertz into the team and bringing in Raya is like it's added to your squad, and you should be saying that you're going to win if you're going to make those significant changes and bringing in those players into your team. I feel like you're being modest here. Maybe this is like years of go through the trauma. I get it, but I think you've definitely should be favourites in to win this Premier League.
But we're not favourites. We're not favourites anywhere. We're not favourites of any bookings. We're not favourites in anywhere. So look, it's really close at the moment. Really close, and it could be anyone. And being serious, right? Taking away. I mean, obviously, I'm a bit tongue in cheek saying about the bottling and all that. It's a bit tongue in cheek. But look, Liverpool, Man City. We're talking Man City, Liverpool here. I get told every week on here about how they've both been there, they've both done it, and they've all been there before, and all this, and we've got the better squad, and all this, and yeah, it sounds like to me they're getting a bit worried. Ooh.
Farrell, we all know you do not want Arsenal winning this league. You don't want it. Is this Arsenal serious worry for you now? Manchester City. I know the previous talk was that Manchester City are the club that you're currently worrying about, but surely Arsenal played their way into that now.
You've got to respect Arsenal. You've absolutely got to respect Arsenal. You scored the most goals in the league. You've got the best defence in the league. You're top of the table currently. You win every game. Frankly, if you beat Manchester City at the Etihad and still don't win the league, that's a boss job, isn't it? If we're being honest, if you beat them at the Etihad, the title's yours. As far as I'm convinced personally, I'd be absolutely amazed if you didn't go on to win the title from that point. But of course, you've got to beat City at the Etihad, and Liverpool struggled to do that. I don't think we've done that since Champions League 2018. I think we might have had an FA Cup game sooner than that, but really difficult place to go. But I think you've absolutely got to respect Arsenal as challengers. They're a quality side, ultimately, at the end of the day. And I think you look at Liverpool and you can say, oh well, City a great squad, Liverpool have a great squad. City are playing brilliant football at the minute, but I'd argue I've seen better from them in sort of recent years. Liverpool, likewise. I think if you asked any Liverpool fan at the start of the season, do you reckon Liverpool are winning a title challenge? I think top four, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Title challenge, not, absolutely not. Completely after gutting our midfield at the start of the season, no chance. Recently we've had to rely on kids to help get us through, Europa League, Premier League games, Cup games. The kids have been all right, but I'll tell you what, I would worry, certainly if we don't get some key players back past the international break. So I think absolutely I respect Arsenal. I think you've got one hell of a chance at the title. You just got to take it at the Etihad. And the question is, can you?
Yeah, what I'd say is Arsenal are probably the only team that starts off a season when no one rates them at all. No one feels like they're going to be in any sort of title race, then play themselves into it, and then are labelled as favourites ahead of Manchester City and Liverpool. I don't quite agree. I still think that these two clubs around Arsenal, I know that Arsenal sitting currently top of the league, but as we've said, they've got to go to Etihad. It's not easy going to the Etihad, and we've got to try and get a win as well. It's going to be tough. And then you can't dismiss any of the other games that are coming up. I know some of these teams aren't in the best of forms, Manchester United being one of them. If anyone wants to stop Arsenal from winning the league, it'll be Man United at Old Trafford. Also got to play Tottenham. Like, there's some tough games in there. Villa was a team that people said that Arsenal would be competing for fourth spot with. That Arsenal have also got to play.
That is a dilemma. United playing Arsenal and Liverpool, because if United beat Arsenal, and the better, aren't they, United? You can see it in them that they've got the possibility of doing that, perhaps. That opens the door. That opens the door for Liverpool or City to win the league. I think United have still got Liverpool to play as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
So if United beat Liverpool in the league, that opens the door for City to go on and win 4. United fans must be thinking, "Oh my gosh, how are you feeling about it?"
I just want to get it over and done with. I just want it to happen. Like, thank God I'll be in Brazil when that Liverpool United game's happening. I actually had a ticket, and I'm like, I'm not going. I can't.
Maybe we can win the league at Old Trafford again. Alex.
Oh, and that's another thing as well. Like, I don't want that.
At the end of the season, isn't it? If you don't go down to the last lot.
Oh, mate, I'd rather win it at Spurs.
I know Farrell was saying about, like, if we beat Man City, you think we're going to win the league. I think even if we beat Man City, there's still like 10, 19 games to go.
But do you know what though? Like,
how can you say that?
Do you not feel
how you can get that?
But Steve, do you not feel like Arteta's in some way has, like, over the times that he's had to face Klopp and he's had to face Pep, that he's perfected his tactics a little bit more?
We've beaten twice this season already.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he's managed to do that, and that's something he's really wanted to do, and he's managed to get those results. So do you not think that can then continue on?
Alex, sorry, yeah.
Go on, Steve.
We've improved massively this season. This is some of the best football I've seen since 2004 and the Invincibles. I think it actually is. This is the most Arsenal been. You've already mentioned they've got the best defence in the league. They've got Declan Rice, who's probably one of the best midfielders in Europe, if in the top 3 in the world. You've got the strike force that's scored more goals than anybody else. I mean, look at the goal difference. I mean, who would say that we'd be plus 11 over Manchester City with the same games at this time of year? Plus 11. That's a point. That's another point.
Do you not think, though, Steve, the mentality of it would change? You know what I mean? Like, I think you beat City. It's the double effect, isn't it? For your squad, knowing we've beat the incumbent champions, we've beat the best team in England, and then for City equally, it puts a dampener on their sort of belief, even slightly.
Yeah.
The
thing is, mate. I don't know. I've been there when the situation. I think it's a little bit of, me being careful a little bit. I mean, watched football a long time, and I've seen Arsenal throw leads away with 5 games to go, 6 games to go, 8, 10 points leads, and with Man United catching us. I've seen us do the same to Man United. I've seen I've seen Man City come behind I've seen Liverpool. So I don't get. Yes, we're playing great. Yes, at this moment in time, we're the best team in the league. Yes, we've got the best. Yes, we're the best at everything at the moment. There's nobody better at the moment. But that can change. That can change. There's 10 games to go. And I think I'm just being weary. But look, we're the best team in the Premier League at the moment. But there's just 1 point, between us all. And
a massive if, and that if is winning at the Etihad. Like I do think that people are downplaying this. Like, Arsenal in great form. Manchester City aren't in the form that we've seen over the last couple of seasons, but they're still there. And this is a Manchester City team where they're not in the best form, and they're a point behind Arsenal. And then we're now talking, if Arsenal win at the Etihad, what? When was the last time Arsenal won at the Etihad? Well, they haven't. When was the last time Liverpool won the Etihad? When was the last time? No, it doesn't happen. It's not a thing. So to say if Arsenal win the Etihad, they should win the league. Like, it's a massive if. And even then, I still think, and I agree with you, Farrell, but I think the big change in mentality is when you win the league. The big change in mentality is when you win the cup. Like, what I've seen with Arsenal over the past few years under Arteta is every time things have gone wrong, we've come back in the face of adversity. We didn't get 5th the following season. We came 2nd. We came 8th the following season. We came 5th when we should have came 4th. We should have or could have won the league last season. We didn't, and we're back in there again, and we're looking stronger. But I still think the major thing for that big mentality change is winning the league. It's the same thing that happened to Manchester City, is getting over that line. However they had to do it, in the end, since then, they've just been unstoppable. But before that, it was still a struggle. And they still had the riches before, but it's that mentality change. It's that everyone changes their mentality around the club once they've won that big trophy. And until Arsenal have done that, I don't think we're going to see that shift. But it will come. It will come eventually. Alex, Manchester United, things are starting to change a little bit. They're getting results still. Still a little bit frustrating for you. But how is it at the moment? I mean, do you feel like you're going to get that top four? Is it too much now?
Oh gosh, it's just a really, really hard season. Do I think we're going to get top four? 11 losses. It's not looking likely. I'm looking at the games that we have coming up. We've got some tough ones, I think. Just for me, it's just the funniest thing about them is that they can pull results out when you least expect them to, and against opposition that you wouldn't think they would. So that sometimes is a little bit frustrating because there's no consistency. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes. Games you think you're going to win, you don't, and games you don't think you're going to win, you get a draw or something happens. So it's really difficult to predict it. Top four, what a dream that would be. It's really tough because looking at the way that Spurs are going at the moment, I know that the Aston Villa are kind of falling off a little bit at the moment. So there is potential for us to do it if we push, but we really have to literally win practically all of the games until the end of the season. And I think when I'm looking at the 11 games to come, it's a really tough thing to think about. And also for us, in terms of scoring goals, we're just not there. Like we have the capability, but it's not consistent enough. And so that's the difficult thing to think about when you're like lumping it all together and you're predicting the future of where we're going to be. I just my thought on it is that it's not going to be a top four thing for us this season, which we just have to live with and deal with next season. And
we recently saw Rasmus Højlund. Although he's hit a bit of form, there's a bit of unrest in amongst the squad apparently with him doing an interview for the United stand. What was your take on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. It's just a thing against the United stand. I don't really know. I usually think that they would have all of that stuff checked beforehand. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And there's always so many stories with United that players are unhappy with this, or they think it's a bad move here. But it baffles my brain because every week there's a story about something that someone's unhappy with. But for me, I didn't see an issue with it. I think he's well within his rights to do an interview. I think it was a massive coup for them to get him as well. So, yeah, not an issue for me, personally.
Farrell, do you see anything wrong with players doing interviews with fan channels, or do you think they should be careful of where they tread?
I don't think there's anything sort of inherently sort of wrong with it. Certainly from a Liverpool perspective, you look at the major brands like sort of Redmen TV, Anfield Wrap. Some superb. Even the manager Jurgen Klopp is a massive fan of both of the brands I've mentioned, and has done interviews for them post pre-season mainly. But I suppose it's contextual, isn't it? I think there's always going to be that worry around sort of United at the moment, given what's sort of obviously going on with United, but it's not as sort of cohesive as it is sort of behind the scenes. If you look at sort of City, Liverpool, Arsenal, where you sort of feel that absolutely everyone is pulling in the same direction, and if anyone isn't, you're out the club. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I'm speaking as an outsider, but it seems to have improved at United. Dare say, I'm sure Alex will correct me if I'm horribly wrong. And I think the new ownership there as well, it's all sort of a positive sign of things to come. And I think, to answer your question, I don't really see a problem with players, but I think obviously for United specifically, given the context there, I think you're all. If I was a United fan, I'd be a bit worried every time I saw a player sort of come out and do an interview. But as a Liverpool fan, I sort of come out and go, think, if Virgil's talking to whoever, I go, well, nothing really bad is going to happen. We saw Trent the other day. I think he was talking
rubbish.
Sorry, what?
He was talking rubbish.
No, but I think he gave his sort of opinion and Klopp sort of came out about this after and said, look, Trent has grown up as a player watching the team train, standing up over the wall watching a team play, not at Kirby, at Melwood, sorry. So he's always going to come out and he's always going to throw his weight behind the club and he's always going to say, we're right, even if you look at it as a neutral and say, actually, it doesn't got a point there. And Klopp's right to go out and defend him also. So I think, but it's a different context to Liverpool, isn't it? Everyone is pulling in the exact same direction.
Yeah.
That isn't always the case at Manchester United right now. But, who's to say that that's always going to be the case?
Yeah. Kevin, you're probably in a similar situation to how Farrell sees it, or in terms of everything seems to be harmonious at Manchester City at the moment. Would you see a problem with a player doing anything for a fan channel? And do you see why Man United fans potentially have kicked off about seeing them on the United stand?
I'm a bit surprised, really, that United allowed him to do that. I would probably say. I think players can't just go off. Certainly at City, my experience with City is players have to go through the club if they want to be doing interviews with anybody, whether it was on here, whether it was on BBC Sky, speaking to the newspapers. I was a little bit surprised. Kyle Walker did that interview last week, didn't he? With what's it called? Vibe with Five or something. With
yes, Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand and that Howson, who, don't get me on them, to be honest with you, rather be Celtic. But I think for Kyle Walker to have done that, he must have spoken to the club. But I suppose he's the team captain, is a little bit experienced. Maybe it's just a little bit of broadness. I mean, he's only a young lad, isn't he? He's come over. He seems to have hit the ground running out United. He's scored a few goals, and listen, he's probably just been out. I don't know how it's come about. He's probably just been out somewhere, and somebody said, Rasmus, will you do an interview with us? And somebody's given him a number, and he sat down and did it. Listen, in my view, he's not done any harm, has he? Somebody now at United might say to him, listen, in future, you've got to come and speak to us about that.
Yeah.
But
I think I think they were aware of it, and he did have permission to do it. It's such
permission, then that's even better if he's had permission. He's done something that he wanted to do.
I don't think he's said anything bad or anything negative. Like, I think a lot of other players have said things that I'm like, wow, like, I don't know why you're airing our dirty laundry on air like this. But also the manager as well. He's come out and had a go at Jamie Carragher for saying things about the club and stuff like that. And it's all a bit of a mess, really. I think they just need to sort out their internal comms policy and just figure out like what people can say and what people can't, and who they should go to and who they shouldn't. Because it's just more noise that we just really don't need. So it's just really weird at the moment.
Yeah, that is probably the point I'm making, I suppose, that it's somewhere behind the scenes, somebody just does not have control of it. Because I'm pretty sure that even though somebody at United probably did give him, the reality is somebody at United at that level should have said to him, no way, you're not doing that. But he's done nothing wrong. If he's asked United and United have said yes, and then he's gone and done the interview, and I've not watched it, but I've read snippets of it, he doesn't seem to me to have said anything particularly out of order. I think it probably, and listen, United do appear to be wanting to change things. It's probably just another area at United that needs looking at in terms of the whoever's in charge of that comms team. Probably either needs to go or needs to be a little bit stronger. I'm sure that will change with some of the people who are coming in. I'm sure.
Steve, do you think that this shows there's still a few more gaps in the processes at Man United? Do you see anything wrong with it?
I mean, if the club's given, Rasmus permission to do it, then really, I think the United fans just got to say, well, okay, Rasmus wanted to do it. The club has given him permission to do it, and leave it as that. Just leave it as that. I mean, I'm sure Alex will agree, United have got more than enough things to worry about rather than whether Hoyland's given an interview to United Stand. I mean, if he did it without asking, he's bang out of order. Do you know what I mean? But it seems, by what you're saying, that United have given him permission. So I think United blowing it a little bit out of proportion. But I do, like you said, mate. I think United have got to, sort out what's going on behind the scenes, because you can't. I mean, I can't see Arsenal, like an Arsenal player, going and have a chat with AFTV on one of their podcasts. I can't see a Liverpool player doing it on Redmond TV, and I can't see anybody going on City Extra and going there and having a chat with them. But Man United have gone, sounds like they've gone, yeah, okay, go and do it, which for me is wrong.
It's like marketing though, and it's I guess it's like the way that football's going, the direction it is. Social media, fan channels. I guess it's trying to maybe be relatable to a certain demographic. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's probably one aspect of it. But I think the thing about that story about the players having this issue about this channel like criticizing them all the time. It just I'm so fed up of them being so concerned about what everyone says about them all the time, and them not actually putting that energy into actually showing us on the pitch, because there's a lot of things and there's a lot of talk about their performances, but it's because we're watching them not really make an effort. So when you then have them complaining about a fan channel criticizing them, it's just it's just more noise and annoyance that I just can't stand, really.
I mean, they have got platforms now, players, haven't they? If they want to go and speak their mind. I mean, you've got the Players Tribune now, which seems like a pretty is that what it's called? The Players Tribune, is it? Where a lot of players go on there and they talk to a podcast. Granit Xhaka did it, didn't they? I think Marcus Rashford did it, and quite a few others. But yeah, fan channels, professional footballers, not for me.
Yeah, but listen, I would have to say, and City have been through it in the past, and I'm sure Liverpool at some stage. Fans are entitled to their opinion. We don't always agree with each other. We've had disagreements about referees' decisions and penalties and Butler and who might win the league. And if United fans have come out and been negative about some of the performances of some of the players, the reality is they're only saying what everybody else in football has been saying. It's not as if they've come out and said something that's completely shocking. Surprise, surprise, United are not performing as well as they should do. If I'm a football, the only way to shut a supporter up is to go out there and prove it and get on the pitch and perform, whether that's United, City, Liverpool, Arsenal. Steve referred to Havertz about the negativity around him at the start of the season and what role he was going to play. Havertz, the only way that Havertz can shut people up is to do what he's doing, which is play regularly, score goals. And that will either shut people up within Arsenal or outside Arsenal, because I've seen it as well. I see negativity. Listen, this team won 5 trophies last year. But
Jack Grealish, Jack Grealish, mate, was a similar thing to
Jack Grealish. The negativity at some point this season that Kyle Walker has had. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's probably the best right back that's ever played in the Premier League, and yet there are still supporters out there who are negative. It drives me bonkers. Everybody can have a bad day, and players do lose form occasionally, but I don't honestly believe that anybody's going out there and doing it deliberately. But that those who particularly target people who have done it week in, week out, year in, year out, just get a life. I mean, it drives me bonkers.
All right. That is all we have time for. Thank you for everyone who has joined us tonight. Thank you for everyone who is watching tonight. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you are new to the show. If you are a regular, hit that like button and share button. Appreciate your support. Thank you to Farrell, Alex, Steve, and Kevin.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
All right. That's all we have time for, people. Peace out. Stay safe.
Take care.